Alright, we got some practice pucks here. I guess there's been some trucks getting lifted here in the shop, so alright then. Installed a eBay oil cooler kit yesterday. It's pretty dope, I have to say. The fitment is actually pretty good, besides it directly rubbing on the tire here, but it's a little bit heavier than the stock unit. Stock unit sat horizontal, whereas this one's vertical. So you can see the stock cooler, the lines came up, and it has the two fittings here that went into and do. So I removed that, bolted on the stock bracket. So the stock bracket, so you can see how this guy and this guy, this guy and this guy are now on this one and this one on the new cooler. And the side mounts we have here and that one down there. So the bracket fit really well. It still has a hole for the brake duct and the lines, bottom line here, top line up there. So still has the duct that kind of bolts on to feed it, quote unquote feed it. It's a lot bigger, but it'll still kind of do the job based on the bumper having the opening. I had to drill this hole here because this one didn't fit, maybe on 335s or something. It's sorry about the focus. Maybe the 335s, it's a little different for the shroud. Just the 135. So we have the like broken plastics here that normally went onto the bumper, as this side did. It has all the mounts to bolt to the bumper, whereas this side just doesn't have it anymore. So I'm just gonna make something to work instead to hold that away from the wheel, of course, because we don't really want the wheel coming in contact with that, but it won't be that big a deal. These are lines that the oil cooler kit came with. It's got 3 90-degree fittings and 1 straight. So they look really good, like nylon braided lines. They look pretty solid for quality. And then we have the adapter here. So it's got the 1 bolt and the 2 feed. That goes on here. So that'll bolt onto there and then let the 2 lines connect. 2 fittings here. So those go into the those yellow caps that were on the new oil cooler. They just come off and then these things screw in with little O-rings. And yeah, it came with a organizer or whatever these things are called, just a little aluminum part to separate the lines and keep them a little bit more tidy. These are the oil cooler housing gaskets. You have your fancy shaped one here. You have your housing gasket here, and then the 2 little O-rings that go for the oil cooler lines. So you can reuse those. I highly recommend just replacing these. They're not that expensive, and the stuff fails. If these fail, your coolant mixes with your oil and you are screwed. So replace them. They're not very expensive and it's not a huge deal to do it, but it is kind of a pain. You have to pull the intake manifold at least out a little bit to get at one of the bolts. So it's good insurance though. This is one of those things highly recommended to do on any BMW with these gaskets. I've never successfully been able to pet this one, but oh my goodness, maybe one day. So one other thing that I had done is installed an aluminum power steering pulley. So this right here is the aluminum pulley, and this is the stock plastic pulley. As you can see, the stock plastic pulley already has, oh sorry, hold on. It already has a chip out of it here. So hold up. So as you can see, it already has a chip out of the top. I caused that chip by removing it, but they'd break on their own by hitting the subframe. So basically what happens is that that is so close to the subframe right here. So the pulley is so close to the subframe that if you get engine movement, if you have excessive engine movement, then that pulley can hit and it actually cracks pieces off, as you saw is easy to happen. And this can break apart, and then the serpentine belt will shred because the pulley is no longer in one piece. And crazy thing that happens is that here in the crank pulley, between the crank pulley and the block, the serpentine belt can get caught in there and get sucked into the seal. And then your timing components, like the timing chain and the timing gears, the belt goes into there and then basically destroys your motor. So they make little guard kits that goes behind the crank pulley. You take the crank pulley off and you can put the guard on that goes back here. And it's like a plate that blocks the serpentine belt from being sucked in. So I don't plan on leaving my serpentine belt until it is terrible and failing, or having it crack on the subframe, the pulley, because it's aluminum now. So I tried to just eliminate that possibility completely. The AC compressor used to sit right here. AC compressor is now gone. So what I ordered is this belt. If you want to order the same belt, you can. Now it's from a K24 Honda, probably an Accord or something. But I had to do one thing. So this idler pulley used to be mounted down here, where you can see that little boss there, the threaded part where this used to go in here. So this is the original pulley that was mounted here, which is smaller. I'll try to show you here. Sorry, this is so as you can see, like that's flush on the belt side, and it's you know, a centimeter or so smaller. What happened is that the belt was too loose with the original pulley. So I noticed that this bigger pulley was down here, which isn't used anymore, and it's much tighter now with that bigger pulley mounted where the smaller one was. So all I did is remove the bigger pulley, remove the smaller pulley, and bolt the bigger pulley on here, and it took up the slack. And to be honest, I think it'll be okay. I'll have to obviously go through it, and I'll have to try it and see, but it's much better. Like, it wasn't usable with that smaller pulley and the new belt. The power steering pulley, the plastic one, is the same diameter as that new aluminum pulley. So that's not the cause of any issue. I just followed the internet's advice and ordered the belt that the internet said to, and guess what, internet? You was wrong. So either way, it's good now. Happy to have that AC compressor out of there, and it's a nice clean setup. Don't worry about how the engine is filthy and disgusting and how the crank pulley is just one piece of rust now. This is what it is to own a car in Canada. For reference, this is the power steering pump pulley that I ordered, the aluminum aftermarket pulley. So very good idea to do if you have an N54, as this happens. They started to notch the subframes, so the pulley couldn't hit anymore. But I looked, and my pulley actually hasn't made contact with the subframe, my original plastic one. So I don't know if it's just luck or whatever, because my engine mount was so shot on the right side that it was completely separated. So it's just a miracle that I didn't smash that thing on there. So either way, that's the aluminum power steering pump pulley. And as I showed you, there is the... I know I've got oil on my hand. N54 Life. So you got the belt here, the K24 belt. You have the aluminum power steering pump pulley. But if you go this method with that belt, there is a shorter belt you can run, I'm sure. There was 2 different options that the internet was telling me to do. So I bought that belt. I bought that pulley. and I had to swap out this idler, the bigger one, to go here. Lots of clearance. Tensioner works as it should now, without having too much slack, so is what it is. Hey Kiki. Chill out, Caramel Cane. You're scaring Scarecrow.